right, we'll go ahead and get started. I think Zach and Anina will join late, and Michelle can't join us today, and that's our whole team at the moment. So we'll just jump right in. I wanted to start first with some operations updates. So actually, I'll just backtrack and say, I'm recording this meeting. This is the National Leadership Meeting on July 12th, 2021. Thank you all for attending. Please do take notes on your side. I've had a few people email me after meetings and say, can you send me all of your notes from the meeting? And while I am taking some brief notes on the agenda, it's everyone's responsibility to take notes as they pertain to their own positions. So please don't count on my notes for your use. Please take your own notes. And thank you to those that did add some content to the agenda. There was one of you, you know who you are, you're an A student, thank you. But please, if you have anything to add to the agendas in the future, put it on here so then we kind of have an idea of everything we have to talk about and can be quick and efficient as we work through the meeting. So that's really helpful. If you're having issues accessing the document and not able to add content, let me know. We can make sure that the access, security, whatever is set up correctly. Also want to give you a quick update on leadership. Actually just found a new national manager of events. So I'm very excited. She'll be joining our team starting this month. So she'll be on our next call, our August leadership call. But it's, I'm sure some of you know her, it's Erica Whitaker with Gifted Travel Network. She's fantastic, and she already has such incredible relations, as her role with Gifted involves vendor relations, supplier relations. So she's going to be an incredible addition to our team. Like I said, she's on the executive team at Gifted Travel Network and was just really looking for something else to kind of enhance her role and her experience in the travel industry. So she actually approached me and said, is there something that you know, that would be a good fit for me? And we talked, and the events role I think is going to be perfect for her. So I'm very happy she'll join us this month. And I'll send out obviously a more formal update on that too. Josh, over to you to talk about our membership model and give a Zoho update, please.
Yeah, so we launched the new membership model, July 1st, and that is $25, which gets you access to 2 events and everything else millennials and travel related as far as benefits. There's been some pretty consistent signups. We also added, so now for events, people can register for an event and then they can add on the supplement, so 25 less the $15 per event, which is a $10 add-on. So that then allows them to become a member. I suspect in the future, I haven't really talked about this with anyone else, but that we might look at doing a model like the Access Pass that we had previously been kind of putting out there, depending on how many people sign up for events. Because it is a deal. All events now are $15 unless you're a member, then the first 2 are complimentary. Which is essentially $25 for those first 2. On the back end, we have switched over to Zoho for almost all of our platforms. So we utilize Zoho for the CRM, for the forms. So that's the collection of data for memberships. We'll be doing FAMs from that. But we've, as of a couple of days ago, we've purchased Zoho One, which is access to all of their applications. So that includes surveys, subscriptions. So we'll be signing people up for subscriptions for their membership, which will automatically renew, as well as campaigns, which will replace MailChimp. And we're really just trying to simplify everything on the back end to allow them for us to kind of work smarter, not harder. I'm going to send everybody a link. First, I'm going to drop it into this chat. So what I wanted to kind of offer everyone, okay. We have access to all of Zoho's applications. The link that I sent, and I'll include it in the email, is what all of the applications do. So if you, actually, I'm going to grab a screen grab. If I know how to do that, because So everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Cool. So the link that I sent brings us to Zoho One. So it's segmented into these categories: sales, marketing, support, productivity, finance, HR, and business process. So I encourage everyone in leadership to kind of browse through this. And if there is something that you feel is going to help you in your role, or for the organization, and we're just not seeing it, please suggest it. And so these are the link. These are all of the apps that we can use. We have them for free. Sometimes there are limitations as far as the numbers, or for instance, there is a Backstage, and that's their event hosting platform. Unfortunately, it doesn't, the level of which we have access to Backstage at the Zoho One level is not where we need it. So it's not something we're going to utilize. We're going to continue using Eventbrite. But if there's anything else within this platform, sorry, Zach keeps, can somebody respond to Zach? Get him into the meeting. Yeah, if there's anything else that can help you do your job better, please let us know, and we can get that set up. Then that's pretty much it for me. I'm still working on that back end syncing between forms and products, and we should have that wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. Things are working pretty smoothly now. It's just a manual process for adding people to give them their code. But yeah, I mean, I think if I would encourage everybody to kind of sign up on the new platform just so we have your information and you can kind of see the workflow as well as the user experience. So there's some fields that if you put in, you know, a certain age, you can't become a member. If you, Derek, you may find if somebody signs up and they're Gen Z, based on their birthday, you're going to get a specific email. And that's outside of being added to the database. So also within that process, once you go through the sign up, the new sign up, if there's something that you feel that you would want to know, like for instance, Monica now receives an email every time somebody puts in into the forum, like I have a suggestion about millennials and travel. And somebody last week said, I'd like to see new media, whether it's a podcast or something like that. If there's Kim, for instance, Kim, where's your home base?
I'm in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay. So we can set up, I mean, I was playing around with it. Like I wanted to know if anybody signed up for Cape Town or Bangkok. We can set up that workflow as to where if somebody selects that as their home city or they want to keep informed on that city, then you'll automatically receive an email. So think outside the box. If there's something that you feel is going to allow us to be more proactive than reactive, go ahead and suggest that, and we can get that kind of embedded into the workflow. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to, I guess, turn it over to Derek. If you want to chat about kind of like what we talked about. We do officially now have a DBA for Gen Z, so we can't operate as Gen Z in travel. But again, slow and steady. And Derek and I have just met to kind of talk about like 6-month goals. What do we want to look at in the future? So over to you, Derek.
Thank you, Josh. So the main thing we touched on was how we can really take advantage of this opportunity of this Gen Z pushing us through college and trying to persuade them, or maybe just shed light on what an opportunity you can have in travel. That can start with asking the question to current millennials, what made you choose travel? Kind of compile the most popular answers, and then we can really shed light and really provide that information to the next generation of Gen Z, saying a lot of millennials chose travel because of this. And also, I put it in the slide deck, but like maybe we have a competition where we ask millennials how, like, for the coolest job you have. Like if people are traveling to certain countries and trying out restaurants and trying out hotels, I didn't even know maybe 2 years ago that that was even a job that people could have. And if we can really shed light that, oh my God, people are doing this, getting paid, living this influencer lifestyle, but still have a 401k, that's a pretty cool story to tell. And I think that's like the 6 month timeline. We can maybe a couple months out, maybe 3 months out. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but we ask that question to millennials, and then we can get the ball rolling with outreach to the Gen Z audience when we do have some kind of valuable information to share.
Yeah, I think we need to find out, we need to take the lead and find out why people aren't joining the travel industry. And maybe it's COVID related, maybe it's not. We need to find the void. We need to find, I mean, this is a huge project and it's not something we have to take on, but I think it's going to elevate us and validate the organization as being a leader in combating the challenges of joining the travel industry and sustaining the industry itself. I actually started 2 weeks ago working with a data analysis company on a consultation basis called Basel Labs, in which they're analyzing through AI and through voice platforms where they're quantifying qualitative data and interviews and conversations to find out answers to questions we want to know. So I believe that we can actually, they'll probably do it pro bono for millennials in travel, is finding out, why, like, what are the challenges? Is it an awareness issue? Is it they don't see it as revenue generating? They don't see it as being fun. I don't know the answers, but I think over the next couple of weeks, Derek and I can work together and kind of see what this company can pull as far as data. And then I think they're trying to get into the tourism space, which is what my role is with them. And I think collectively, if we may have the opportunity to really announce and through a white paper, the challenges of Gen Z joining the travel industry, which would put us on the map for moving more towards not only career development, but I think industry sustainability. And maybe that's something we add to our, tag later of, networking, career development, and industry sustainability. But I think there is a lot of opportunities. Just speaking with the CEO of this company, I mean, he's so smart, and I think we'll be able to get some really cool data. Derek, you said that
company, sorry?
The company's called Basel Labs.
Okay, sorry.
So it's basellabs.org, actually. I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow, and
I'm sorry, Josh, you may have mentioned this already, but is this only Gen Z, or are you also including millennials in this as well?
I'm working on a completely different project with them. So with reference to what I just spoke about as being like opportunistic for the organization has not been fleshed out or developed yet. So I think that we could easily do that. It's just coding on his part. So I think I'll probably start a task in Asana, and we'll kind of like work through, but obviously, Elizabeth, for you, it's, I think in conjunction with things that we're going to be talking about at upcoming shows, we can find out more data behind it, but nothing has been explored as far as the organization. I'm just working on the side projects with them. Yeah. So we can talk about it. I think I'd like to probably, for Zach, Elizabeth, and Derek, maybe we can have a call next week. So the four of us can kind of like talk about things in this realm, because I think they're all kind of interrelated, and it could be Gen Z or it could be, millennials as well, obviously. My goal is trying to develop some collateral for Gen Z in order for us to further legalize that entity. So that's really where that came from, as far as putting precedent on Gen Z versus millennials.
Yeah, I mean, either I think is great, and I'm super excited. I think that's going to be amazing data to be able to get. So even if it, like I said, even if it is the incoming generation, I still think that works for kind of our talking points
Yeah.
on what do we do moving forward. So sure,
And
thanks.
even if it's producing data that's specific to Gen Z, but then in panel discussions, we ask those same questions to find out what the differences are for millennials, that's still going to be valid. As long as there's some validity based off of statistics or data, and especially if it's coming from a third party outside of this organization, but we're just using that as to leverage the organization and whatnot, then I think we're golden.
And then also adding on that, especially with COVID right now, and people are taking this time to reconsider the industry that they are in, and they could be between jobs, they could be between industries, and they're just waiting for someone to say, hey, come here, we have a home for you in the travel industry. I think millennial is a good story to tell right now, especially as well, to just connect the dots on it. I think it's a really good time for it.
Yeah, I mean, Kate, like you also probably have a unique, your background is unique. You came in, Kate, and then one of our former colleagues, Tess, came in at the same time. And I just remember, like, I think it was Tess's second week on the job. And I was like, hey, is there any way you can go to Thailand next week for 10 days? Because I can't go. And she was like, this isn't real. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, can you go to Thailand next week for 10 days? And she was like, this is amazing. And I think, Kate, you're like a younger millennial as well, and have been in that like product development role where like you're paid to travel the world. So I think we all have really unique stories to share. And I think some of our members are going to have a lot of great stories. So maybe, I know we had talked about, Caitlin, like with, again, if we bring more people on the team in order to create original content. And so maybe that instead of like that digital content being somebody that's focused on the website, that moves to the tech side. And we keep, that content as far as original content, 2-minute interviews via Zoom, maybe not Zoom or podcasts or whatever, to maintain that engagement in the industry and showcase, it's fucking awesome. I mean, this industry is awesome. I mean, it sucked for the last year and a half, but like in general, it's amazing. Okay, so I guess jumping over to Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth's next. But I did want to just wrap up with Derek. I loved all of that. Thank you so much. And we'll love to see how like you lay out the strategy and the next steps and timeline and how we take it from an idea to
Early talks, yeah,
to a project.
We'll get, yeah.
I'm excited to see that. Thank you. Elizabeth, over to you.
Hi, well, I was doing a lot of work last week, but I was apparently the only one. So I don't know if you guys all saw a ton about our offices. So my work that I thought I was going to be able to give some updates on, I unfortunately don't. I do have a few logos that are going to come our way so that we can pop those onto the website. So I'll get those over to you, Josh, as soon as I get them. But a lot of my work is going to be follow-ups this week. Because I couldn't get in touch with anyone pretty much. That I think as soon as people could go somewhere for the 4th of July, they did. So I will certainly, have some more updates, hopefully by end of week, with some of our partnerships that we've been talking about, including the travel shows, so that we can understand, what we need to, basically get who is going to be responsible and who's going to actually be the one there presenting, and what topics that we're going to present. So I certainly will follow up with all involved on Asana. So more to come.
Elizabeth, when Terry responded when I made that introduction, obviously his email got cut off. It was like, and Peggy didn't catch it. So I'm not really sure the course of action.
Okay.
For that, I would think that like Peggy would have caught him and been like, you started a sentence and just stopped right there.
Yeah.
It also could be like maybe just like a phone call follow up or something.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, like Derek's going to be, I think, at USTUA, and a few other people will probably be at USTUA. It's in San Diego this year. It'll be in conjunction with, obviously we want to host a San Diego event. Yeah. And it's also around the holidays. So I don't know, Mon, if you want to, who's coming on for events, like
I'll get to that. I'm going to talk about that.
well, let's just say maybe combining like holiday with USTOA and San Diego.
Yeah, I had a call with San Diego an hour ago. We talked about that already. So,
Cool.
Elizabeth, you're talking about the travel and adventure show series, right? It's in
That's
like 5 cities. Okay, cool. And we're speaking at 2 of them, or?
Yes, yeah, Dallas, and I'm forgetting the other.
Denver?
Denver, I
Denver, Dallas,
think.
and Denver. Okay.
That's what we've done in the past.
But
Yeah.
is that confirmed,
was-
Elizabeth?
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay,
I
okay.
got crickets.
Because
So-
Mon,
I'm-
our participation in those shows they've just duplicated their 2020 pages. So I don't know if we're actually confirmed for that.
Okay.
shows. So that's what Elizabeth is kind of like looking into. And if we can get into more shows, because now that New York Times has pulled out, I'm sure they're gonna come into New York, and do a show there just like they did with when LA Times pulled out.
Mhm.
I'm just going to end up calling this week because, in past, my emails have kind of gone untouched from her. So I'm just going to kind of call stock and see what I can find out so that hopefully we
Don't be creepy, just be aggressive.
Friendly aggressive. So yeah, I'll certainly get an answer this week. Hopefully, we can confirm at least the 2. And if there's more opportunity, like you said with New York, if they're going to go in there and take over that show, great. But I'll certainly keep everyone updated on that.
Cool.
All right. Over to Zach next, philanthropy and outreach.
So
Perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Go ahead,
I
Joshua.
think, so I think, we definitely need to get, Zach and I have been kind of playing phone tag. And we'll meet next week, hopefully, all of us to kind of talk about, because there's so much intermingling between like outreach and Gen Z and, advocacy and outreach as well and volunteering. So, but I don't know, Zach, if you have any other updates.
No, that's pretty much where I'm at as well with that. Just was in Chicago for a wedding, so just trying to catch up on a million things. So I haven't been able to touch base more with Josh, but we'll get in touch with that.
Cool, thank you. Make sure we talk with Josh when you guys do connect. You talk about adding, of course, the philanthropy component to our FAMs. Each of the chapters have been tasked with having one philanthropic event each year as part of their strategy, and also incorporating like a philanthropic activity, which could be something ongoing, like if they're collecting canned goods or donated items at each event, something like that. So 3 components kind of from my side. So event during the FAMs, 1 annual chapter event, and then like an ongoing activity that they focus on. It's kind of like that chapter's area of focus. Okay, let's see. Anina's not here yet, so we will jump ahead to Kate. Membership updates. I know the big thing that we'll need to do that we want to focus on for August is our membership survey. But do you have any other updates for us?
No, Josh really touched on the big thing, which was the new membership model. So that's kind of been the thing that's most in the works, and honestly not a ton else to update the whole team on right now. So short and easy.
All right. And do we have the membership survey done, or do we still need to finalize that and what it'll look like and what our distribution plan is for it?
I had asked Caitlin and Elizabeth and Josh and Asana on it, and I haven't heard back from you guys yet. Because I know you wanted their input. So if you guys can get back on that thread in Asana as soon as possible.
Will do.
We're supposed to do it. I think July 10th was or not July 10th. When was it? It's soon. Within the next week was when we're supposed to do it. So I had given my feedback originally that you had replied on that thread, Monty. So if the rest of you guys can take a look at it as soon as possible.
Okay. if anyone has anything else they would like to see in the membership survey, like thinking like what information would help you, and then backtrack from there to design it or to develop the questions, let Kate know. I think the plan, I don't have it in front of me, the timeline, but was to include that in our August newsletter and kind of have that be the focus. Like we want to hear from you, and like a big focus with the whole communication strategy for August for social media and our newsletter. So yeah, we'll just, hopefully the timeline I laid out works for you and we can get that done. And I think that the key is keeping it short and sweet, you know, so it only takes people a few minutes to fill out, but what information they do provide tells us a lot. So that's kind of the trick.
We also, I will bring this up in my meeting tomorrow, but we could also explore, and I kind of want feedback from everybody. Do we want to do this as to where it's like a written survey and they're answering questions, or with our soon to be developed relationship with Basel Labs, they're able to, like, we can record a 2-minute video and then they can like analyze that data from people speaking. Like when you're taking a survey, would you rather like fill out the form, or would you rather just speak for a minute or 2 minutes, or like, I don't know. I would rather like fill out a form, but
Yeah, I'd rather fill out a form, multiple choice, really easy.
okay. Okay.
All right, so Kay, I'll let you keep managing that and follow up with whoever else is involved on what you need. And hopefully we'll have that, like I said, wrapped up in the next 2 weeks so it can actually go out in August. Let's see. Hi, Anina. How are you? It's perfect timing, actually. You were next on my list.
I'm good. Busy Monday. I feel like I was in meetings from like 8 o'clock onwards all day. So I'm like, but I'm here.
It was your last one of the day. But
No.
I know we'd all like to hear just, you know, in a couple minutes, your recap of the Turks and Caicos FAM, since you were the official MIT FAM host for that one. And then, you know, any outstanding needs, you know, for us on the current active FAMs, whatever you need from the team, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Turks and Caicos was amazing, I have to say. It was a beautiful, really great crew. We were 6 agents plus myself. We stayed first at the Palms for 2 nights, and then we stayed 2 nights at the Shore Club. We also had quite some free time, so we organized some site inspections at other resorts where all of us went, which was great as well. Turks and Caicos is definitely a very, very high-end, luxurious destination. Nothing is cheap about it. I went 2 nights prior and stayed at one of the hotels that was not as fancy, but even that was like $300 a night. So definitely I took that out. One thing that the feedback was that we didn't have activities included in the FAM, and that was really because of COVID, and that the hotel just couldn't manage that. Ling, who is representing those 2 hotels, as well as the Sands, which is another property that is part of the ownership, which is a little lower. So it is a 4-star. We did a tour there too. She came out from Chicago and hosted us. Definitely one thing that I talked with Monica about, which was kind of interesting. She was definitely from the old school times. And so she's been in the industry, she's in her beginning of her 70s. So you can imagine how long she's been in the industry. And I think she pulled me to the side at the end and kind of gave me feedback. And one was kind of like, oh, you know, these are all very young people. And I was like, well, yeah, this is Millennials in Travel. So absolutely. And we had everything from 26 all the way to 43, I think. So we had like the whole millennials kind of, and I think for her, it was hard to connect with some of the members because it's just such a gap. And I'm definitely going to have a chat with Christina from Lush Experience about that too, because I felt that should be clear. If you host a Millennials in Travel FAM, and she was a little, judgmental. She's like, oh, I don't think that this girl is going to get any business. I'm like, why would you even say that? So it wasn't all positive, I feel like, from her personality wise. And definitely something as a host, which you have to deal with, right? And so I think we need to make sure when we send someone as an MIT host that we prep them that those kind of situations can come up. We did some activities. We all booked on a boat ride, snorkeling ride, and we had a group chat. And so I would also recommend to everybody to have that as a host, to set up a group chat previously. I think everybody really enjoyed it. We talked about how, when are you coming? Are we doing the site inspections and all of the things? So that was really cool. And we still talk sometimes in the chat and just check in with each other, which I thought was great bonding time. And I think we learned a lot about the destination and obviously the host. But I think what I witnessed was that some of these agents were fairly new to the industry or to the travel advisor world. And so they exchanged a lot of tips and tricks. And I thought that was really cool. One thing that came up we had two girls who were very, very Instagram and social savvy, and they have a really great presence as well on Instagram, and a lot of followers. And I noticed I posted obviously quite a lot with our Instagram, and I saw how we got followers, right? Pretty like regularly because of that. And I shared some of their stories, and I think those were actually the most successful ones almost. And one thing that came up from the other members is like, how can I build myself a better social media presence? And how do I get clients through that? And I thought, I'm wondering if this is something where we can work on some workshop programming, maybe for the membership, to offer. Because I think it gets more and more important. And they were talking about how they get a lot of clients through social media nowadays. And so I think it's just the new way to go. And so, yeah, overall, we had a great time, great bonding. I think I learned a lot. In the feedback, and I think I shared with you guys the summary of the survey I had sent to each of the members, each of the participants. And the feedback was pretty good. I think there were some points, and they did also list which destinations they would want to see. One point that they brought up is that most of our fams are going out during the week, and so they were like, maybe we can have a little bit more fall or weekend. Sorry, my dog.
They know that it's a work trip, and so hotels tend to be booked on the weekend. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to necessarily change as far as.
Oh, no, and I said that too, and I think that's fine. I think one thing is that we had a couple, actually two, I think that which did that on as a second job, not as they have a different job. And I think it was part of the pandemic too, that people just had to get another job. And so that was more also with that background. But yeah, I mean, obviously we also have to see what works for the host. That was one remark. But other than that, I think it was great. I had a good time. And I had fun doing the social media, but also it was nice to give it up again after that. I was like, okay, this is exhausting. And I played around a little bit with the reel and stuff, and I thought that was fun. So I learned a little bit about social media.
We have there's a social media guidelines document that is, I think, almost about to be ready. I just was adding, there's a video or a page that I think is a good refresher course that I linked. And so that should be coming out soon. I think it'll help everybody as far as like the do's and don'ts outside of like just the fam hosting. But if we're doing like Takeover Tuesday or something like that, some best practices. But I do think that offering or finding some resource that allows people to learn how to grow their networks through social media, or like that is career development. It's also personal development. But I think in today's day and age, it's synonymous with career development as well. So I think if anybody's any ideas on, programs or models, people, if we can find some type of, all of the like influencers that I know are not necessarily, if everybody can look out for their own networks, and they have some like key people, I actually think I might have a couple that could maybe do like a half-hour like seminar or something that we can record and put on our YouTube channel of like how to grow the audience.
But we do still plan to do, I think like once a month virtual events. So with each chapter hosting those. So that could be really good content that we could come up with. Something I could task our new national manager of events with is kind of creating
Yeah.
that strategy for, because we want those virtual events to be focused on content that will apply to anyone in the industry, right? So it wouldn't be sales presentations from hotels. It's going to be
Right.
things like this.
Yeah.
So
And if you
I think,
If you could take like a 15-second sound bite and like break it up into different segments and then post that onto Reels or like post that onto TikTok, so you don't have to make that content exclusively for the platform, and you get as much reach as you can, and you get as many new eyeballs as you can. I think that's a really good opportunity as well.
I think our members will really, really sign up for this so much, because I think there's just, even in this group, like you could tell how they were just soaking in this information from these two girls who were like really great with it. And funny enough, like the Palms reshared those two girls' posts like 3 or 4 times. So you could tell they picked out those posts, you know,
Mhm.
because they knew what they were doing, you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, it's visually appealing, like how they do it. And so I think there is a lot to learn.
I mean, maybe we tap one of them, you know, to like, you know, what's your secret? Even if it's like a 5-minute video or something of like, what's your secret? I think that could, you know, help.
5 minutes, 5 minutes is long.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
before
like
we-
what Derek said, like 10 to 15 second sound bites is like, that's the attention span on social media. So if
And-
if
and-
it's gonna be like a longer virtual event where they're gonna, you know, we're gonna play these recordings that's people presenting for 5 minutes, then yeah, but we just have to kind of come up with an idea. I'm not sure how to manage that, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and then just to give you an update, and Monica, gosh, we need to catch up because Riviera Maya does not look really good. So we had 2 FAMs just for everybody. We had the Cabos FAM that was pretty tricky to fill. We just didn't have as much traction for it. We then had a couple of later editions, and in the end now we are fine, and they allowed companions, obviously. So it's all good, it's all set. We are pretty much all confirmed. But Riviera Maya, we didn't have a lot of applicants either. And then 3 people that we selected actually said they cannot longer participate. And I think that's also one part of, we have to kind of see what are the consequences out of this, because I feel like it doesn't look too great for the host, for our hotel host, I think, or, you know, destination host, if we are saying, oh, sorry, of 6 people, 3 just denied right away, right? Also, we had 1 person who confirmed, she didn't pay yet, and I told her to hold off on booking her flights. The other 2 have not even responded to me, and I send a reminder. So I think that's really, I think we should figure out, what do we do with people that are just not responsive, because that's not really.
Anina,
Well, I think
what are the dates again? So sorry.
For Riviera Maya, it's August 5th through 8th. August 5th through 8th. And then I
think it's also, it's not finding out or like addressing the not responding. I think it's figuring out why they're not responding. Is it lead time? Is it hitting their spam? Is it like, there's got to be a reason. I suspect that in this case, it could be like holiday, lead time. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it is a little disappointing, right? When you have to follow up with people about like a chance that they should take on. But it is what it is. I think Riviera, I asked them, the hotel, how many minimum they would have to have. It's 4, and we don't have 4 right now. So we need to connect. I wanted to push it over the weekend, and we didn't do that. So I think at this point, it's just really hard to pull that one off, to be honest. I think it's,
okay. Yeah. We'll touch base after.
Yeah. And then the other part that I want to bring up is just the hosting, because you know, there was another experience that was just like, I feel like we need to, when we have an MIT host, this host has to take over a responsibility beforehand, right? We talked about that, and I just want to make sure everybody understands if you host the FAM, you're going to be involved in collection of the release form, keeping the people in communication, making sure everybody has everything. Our host is in, we communicate with that host. And that wasn't the case with Los Cabos, unfortunately, either, really. And so it really creates a lot of work, right? Because then now I'm chasing the host as well. And so I want to make sure that whoever signs up to be an MIT host has to be aware that it's not just going on a fun trip and maybe posting a little bit on social media. It is more involved. And I think, again, we need to make sure that, I know we have this document, but maybe, and I'm open to for ideas, but I think maybe it makes sense to jump on a call with the host even and like literally communicate that, hey, before you confirm you're going to be the host, I want to make sure we're all busy, but you need to be involved and you need to pick up your share, right?
Yep.
Because otherwise it doesn't
I
make
think-
sense.
I think it's
that's-
just as simple as that.
A simple phone call. I think as long as, if the expectations are clear, and then I think it should be fine. So I think we just add that to the workflow, Anina, it's like part of the process, just one more step. And whether it's you that does the call, if you can't do it, Josh can do it, I can do it, we can help with that too. But I think just add that add that step into the workflow, and we'll do it going forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then lastly, I think, I did give you, Monica, the information for
Yep.
Sonoma and San Francisco today. So we can, then Josh, if we can work on that next week for the website, and I can set the invitation. I think that FAM looks fabulous. So I really hope we're going to get some traction with that one. And I'm still waiting for the transportation cost, so I don't have yet what it's going to cost. I hope kind of it's going to be $50, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then the next one is Bahamas, and October is still kind of open. And then we have November and
Yeah, we talked about that. You and I can touch base on that.
Yeah.
Where we're at with that later. Okay.
Just because we don't have anybody that's focused on jobs right now, I just wanted to share feedback that we got last week. We got an email from Relish Careers, which is a career search company or whatever. We had a job posted for Louis Vuitton, or not Louis Vuitton.
The LVH brand, or
Yeah, that brand. So
Elizabeth
she
was
said, thanks so much for your help in getting this role posted. We're in the final stages with a candidate who applied via Millennials in Travel. You really have a great network of incredibly talented people. So we filled a role, which is awesome. And now they're going to be coming to us with another one for the VP of marketing. But she's approved it, so we can get that on the website. So, sometimes I think we question, like, we're putting on this time and energy, but like, we are helping people. We are helping people develop their careers, network. We're helping the industry. And I think it's this positive affirmation that we kind of need to be reminded of, every month, of like, we're all volunteering, and like, what's the purpose? And, it's things like this, that this is the purpose. Like, we got somebody a job. So everybody pat yourselves on the back.
Yay! Can we make that a testimonial and use that on social, especially
Yes,
LinkedIn?
she's approved it as a testimonial. So
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, because sometimes we wonder, like, is what we're doing actually making a difference? So, and I was off last week, but I had some amazing calls on Friday, and Kim, I'll let you go next, but just to kind of add to what Josh is saying is, people reached out and they're like, your organization's so amazing. I've heard so many good things. I want to get involved. And like, we hear that often and probably don't share it enough, but I think, we're making an impact. So we'll just keep doing that. And we're going to keep growing. I'll share more on growth here in just a moment, but Kim, over to you for exclusive benefits update, please.
Are you still getting feedback from me? No? Okay, I guess the headphones fixed it. Thank you. Josh sent me over the past benefits that sort of had expired and so I followed up with all of those people. I know I sent the Hawaiian Airlines info again. She has been the most responsive, the person at Hawaiian Airlines, out of all the emails I sent. I'm really not getting responses. I mean, I sent it once and then I waited about 3 weeks and followed up. And I'm really only getting a response from Hawaiian Airlines. No one else of the original contacts has replied. And then I also had brainstormed at one point, I think with Monica, a couple other things. We had thought about Away luggage. There's another luggage brand called, I think it's like a startup, Soul Guard, and they have kind of a unique design. So I had reached out to them. But I'm really not getting responses. So I don't know. I mean, I tried to, when I was looking at Away, I was trying to like tried to find something on the website, like a contact email. Wasn't really getting anything. I mean, I don't even remember what I ended up sending it to, but I tried to do some digging on LinkedIn to try and like find somebody who worked there and see if I could get an email. And I really didn't come up with anything. So I think a lot of it is probably that I'm not necessarily emailing the right person. But
Yeah,
if anybody, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Kim. Yeah, we know the owner. I collectively, I think most of us know the owners, or the founder, who works with KKW. It's her sister. So I'm sure one of us can email and just ask who we talk to for partnerships.
That would be great. Yeah. And that was kind of going to be my my segue.
Yeah.
I have done a little more brainstorming and I would love to kind of, I don't know how much time we have to talk about it, but if anybody just has ideas for benefits, obviously I think we all, depending on like where we are in the industry, probably have different things that may or may not make sense. Like I think talking about this social media kind of webinar or like whatever seminar or something, I would find that really beneficial from a workshop standpoint. But if anybody has ideas on benefits, I would love to hear them. And then also if you have
Can we
connections.
actually expand this, and maybe it's more of like social media, in which we ask, like, hey, do you have any really cool, I don't know, do you have any cool products that you use, or do you have any relationships, or I don't know how to pose this, but utilizing the entire network, not just leadership of, maybe somebody's went to college with, somebody who's trying to get their new luggage tag tracking system out there, or not really sure, but I don't think we've had enough awareness as far as the acquisition of new opportunities. So maybe connecting with Caitlin and Michelle to like figure out some type of not a survey, but like something.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. I mean, like I said, I brainstorm ideas, and as I'm like scrolling Instagram and I get a travel targeted ad for like something happened, this company, I got targeted with this ad the other day, these like travel wall tiles, and they personalize them for cities that you've been to. And so I thought, well, I would like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's something that would like be enough of a value to, obviously, I don't know. I mean, it can't hurt to reach out, and certainly like it just came to me, but yeah, if anybody else has ideas or contacts or connections, to reach out to some of those
Kim,
people.
I think with benefits, like any idea is a good idea, like any benefit. I mean, not any
Right.
benefit, but like any idea is
Sure.
a good idea to explore and throw it out there. So what I would suggest maybe is email all of us kind of a list. And like Elizabeth said, like we know who, second degree of separation, know who the owner is of Away Luggage. So we can make that connection. So just use us to help make, those connections and introductions if needed. And then, send us a list of some of the ideas you have. Maybe we can all reply with like one or two other ideas that come to mind, but then also use our chapter leaders as well. So it expands your pool of, people to talk to. And anytime you guys want to email the chapters, you just do the city code at Millennials in Travel. So LAX at millennialsintravel.com. NYC@millennialsintravel.com. And that puts you in touch with 30 other people that are on our leadership team. Well, almost 30, getting to 30, 20 or 25, right? 24 right now.
You can actually just email officers.
Officers, thank you. Yeah.
And it goes to all of the chapters. I think also maybe looking at, in working with the chapters, looking at city specific. So at one time we had the Discover California Pass, only applicable for Southern California, but it was a benefit, and like somebody's probably going to go to Southern California at some point. We also, I think in Chicago, we had like discounts at like 2 hotels or something. So I don't want to get into the discount hotel space, like 10% off, like bar or whatever, because usually you can find it cheaper online. But if there's something like super cool, that Southern California Pass was free and it normally cost like $30. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can already tell you, like our New York team, like Joannie's involved in this new app that's all about like finding street art. And like, I mean, so she has like some unique and creative ideas that involve kind of more of like the travel and tech space. Chicago is a great city to visit, great attractions. I'm sure there's something like a Discover California Pass in Chicago. So I would, yeah, definitely utilize the team at your disposal.
Okay, well, and I think that as I start, I really in the last month is really when I started reaching out after we came up with that letter and everything. And so this is kind of my trial period, I think. And I just haven't, I'm realizing like to get access to the right contact is probably
Also
well,
the
a
local-
bigger company like Away for sure. You got to weed through,
Right.
find the right person. Smaller companies, might be.
Also the local tourism board. So, I mean, internationally speaking, Copenhagen, they have a Discover card where it's like, free public transportation, like half off, whatever. They'll usually gift that to, or not gift that, but anybody in the trade, especially the buyer role, like a travel agent, it's free.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 50% off. I mean, I don't want to do like, obviously Copenhagen, because how many people are going to go to Copenhagen, in the next year, but domestically even, visit
Tourism boards are
Chicago,
great.
what's New York's tourism board, I forget the proper name. They're all going to have their local visit Seattle. Like maybe they have something like that that is applicable to travel agents, but they're willing to extend it and open it up to all of Millennials Travel members, because we need to showcase the awareness factor of, okay, so it's working with Caitlin and saying, okay, this week, other than our standard posts, we're going to promote Seattle. And we're going to say, once a day, we're going to do like something super cool in Seattle. And in lieu of that, of us promoting that through our distribution channels, you're going to give us, free passes or whatever your local, Orca card, or I don't know. So just think like creative like that as well.
Yeah. Those are good ideas. I hadn't thought about like local tourism boards.
Oh, yeah,
So
and tourism boards, they have money and they want to get involved. So I was just emailing with even just like the West Hollywood like tourism board last week, and they're like want to do stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
Go WeHo. Before we move, quickly before we move on, Kim, I know specifically Macerich, which is shopping centers all over the US, have an amazing tourism team, and I'm sure she would be really willing to offer something. So whether it's discounts or some sort of savings card of some kind, I'll certainly be in touch with her and connect you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, communications, and then I'll wrap up with chapter updates and national event updates. So Caitlin, over to you, please.
Yeah, you guys probably saw our newsletter. We ended up kind of not really skipping June, but we ended up kind of turning June into July, and that went out at the beginning of the month just because we had some important information that we wanted to make sure that we got out in a timely manner. So July technically has already gone out when it comes to the newsletter. So the next one is going to be August 17th. So if you guys have anything that you want to add, make sure you send it over to me, before then. Michelle and I had been working on some guidelines. So as Josh said earlier, Michelle had put together like a really nice document so that our chapters can participate in doing takeovers. So we now have 2 guideline documents, one for BAMs for the hosts, and then one for, just general for hopefully when we have more takeovers happening. And I think the only thing that we're kind of waiting on that, Josh, was the video. For some reason we weren't able to see it. So
I changed it to a link to a website, so it should be fine now. I changed that last week.
In the document? Okay. I think that's the only thing.
I reposted it with that.
Cool. Then I'll
Caitlin?
go back and
Sorry, just had a question. Is that for individuals or for companies or brands? The takeover.
All the above. Like we mainly made them for our chapters. Like when Monica put together the strategy that she was presenting to all of our chapters, and we kind of wanted to get our officers of communications and our chapter leaders a bit more involved and have them contribute to social media takeover. I think we said at least like once a week. Like everybody had to contribute at least once a month. I think now that we have four operating chapters. So it's really for them, but it could simultaneously also be used for other companies or brands if we have them approach us as well. And so in addition to that, I also created a guideline for blogs. So we've had a couple people donate some blogs that are like outside of our membership, which has been kind of cool. So just kind of created a document so that they can, work off of that. So hopefully we'll get some more blogs. So this is all just kind of helping us get a little bit more consistent with our social media and our blog contributions. So I think too, Josh, I'd love to set aside some time because the only hiccups that I'm running across with the blogs is image formatting with the website. So maybe you rather than me asking all the time, we can just sidebar and you can just quickly show me how to do it would be great.
And this kind of goes for everybody. I don't always, I think I play a lot of reactive, back end stuff, and sometimes priorities, the bigger picture priority is one thing. And so if I'm delayed in responding, it's not that I'm just completely ignoring you. It's just that there is something that has greater priority. And it really has to do with the legality, the finance, all of that, stuff that nobody wants to touch. But just shoot me a text or let's set up a time and we can just work through things during that time. So yeah.
Yeah.
Two questions about the blog. One is general, and also this kind of for Josh. Is that blog guidelines document and the social media guidelines document going to be on the leadership landing page?
It can be.
Okay. Can we do that?
I don't. Yes, somebody put it, make it a task. Assign it to me. Anything website related, anything website related, please send to tech@millennialsandtravel.com or assign in Asana. Those of you that are not in Asana, I think, Derek, you're not in Asana. Zach, I don't know if you've gotten in yet. Elizabeth, I think you're kind of started to dabble. But I'll set up a meeting for later this week or early next week for us to kind of go through all of that.
And then also on the blog, this is specific. I chatted with Nick Hofstetter about submitting.
Oh yeah, he sent me a note over the weekend. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I told him to reach out to you. Okay.
He sent that to me over the weekend. I haven't had a chance to look at it in depth, but I'll catch up with my emails and stuff and get back to him.
I mean, just by chance, I saw someone that we know in the industry posted about a blog that they wrote. So I just messaged him on Facebook and said, hey, do you want to contribute? So if you guys ever see that and, any of your friends, colleagues in the industry are blogging, they're already blogging. So we don't need to recreate the wheel. This content's there. It's just a way for us to kind of add another distribution channel for them. So just reach out. It's a good way to get guest bloggers. Was that it, Caitlin? I was going to ask you a question, but about social media. I don't know if you're.
Yeah, I mean, one other note is I don't know if everybody on the call knows that Michelle's pregnant, and she is due to have a baby in October. So I'm also going to work on kind of setting up a strategy for our officers of communications kind of help and chip in while she's out so that we can continue to maintain our social media presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be part of that social media takeover strategy where, and even I think some of us could help fill that maternity leave gap as well.
There is no paid maternity, but we will allow her to kind of take some time.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be good if all of us, even take over, doing 1 or 2 posts a week on maternity leave. And I know Kate especially is eager to do Instagram stories. So
so excited.
Yeah. You gotta try it sometime, Kate. So you have a schedule for social media takeovers, Caitlin, and we'll start going out to the chapters with that.
That is on the leadership page, actually.
Okay.
it links to
Okay.
that. So also I want to say, I think maybe at the end of July, in lieu of doing a newsletter, I think that's when we're going to do our, like, here's our new membership model. You know, and once we have all of the back end things like connected, we'll be able to do that. So that'll kind of be in lieu. I don't know, you know, if we had a benefit to offer at that time, that would be amazing. If we had anything that enhanced, not events, but like enhanced like why join millennials in travel,
Well,
I think that could be
so are you saying
part of it.
we would do like a supplemental communication at the end of July and still do our August newsletter focused on the membership survey, and then at the end of July, just talk about the membership model, like something
Yeah, I think so. Like, because we need to,
push that, I know.
well, we need to invite everybody. Also, some of you may be getting random emails about like if it's like redirected or like beta test this, or if you're getting something that doesn't make sense, just like send me an email and be like, is this real? Like, most of the time it's probably not going to be real. It's going to be me beta testing something in the system. But like, for instance, Kate got an email saying like, hey, log in here to like update your membership details. We have the ability to actually send a link in a forum or some type of platform to everybody so they can update their own information, which is amazing. It's just that we need to beta test all of that. So if you do get some things, if you don't get a preemptive email from me saying, hey, you're going to get something beta tested for me, like, let me know what you think. If you're confused, just like shoot me a text or whatever. But
Okay.
hopefully that'll be all worked out by the end, like I would say in the next 2 weeks, where
Okay.
everything's super systematic.
So you do want to send a communication then at the end of July to promote our membership model?
I think to
And then-
explain
Yeah.
and promote once everything's linked.
Okay, all right, so, okay, Caitlin, you'll add that to your calendar. And then I think, you know, like, Kim, if we do have like 1 or 2 benefits we could share, that'd be great. But then we also will have news, which will bring me to the last bit here on our slide, just about chapters. Los Angeles has
Mon, do you want to show the slide?
No, it's just the
Okay.
agenda. Yeah.
Okay.
Los Angeles is having the first in-person event scheduled for July 22nd. So if you're in Los Angeles, please go. If you can go to Los Angeles, go. We thought we would get a really strong turnout, and so far we've actually only have 24 RSVPs. One issue I discovered was just digging around on our email distribution list. A lot of people are missing. So that's, you know, something we have to work on. I mean, a lot of people that have gone to the MIT events for years, since the inception, people that used to be part of the leadership team were not on the distribution list for whatever reason. So just keep help spreading the word on any of the in-person events, whether it's in your city or not, because I think that helps us, you know, continue to reach an audience. If you need like a link to share, I would just share the calendar on the website. I can share it with you right now. And Josh, just so you know, I went in today, and I think we should do this when we do the calendar, or for Caitlin or Josh. I added a button that says RSVP today, because Anina had provided some feedback that like that link, the source link at the bottom, is kind of hard to see unless you're looking for it. So if you actually go to the page now, you'll see, and I think it's good if we can add that on the events. There's the link there. So July 22nd for LA. San Diego has an event tentatively planned for early September at the Pendry in partnership with the San Diego Tourism Board. Chicago, I wasn't able to attend our meeting today, so I don't have an update from them at this time, but I'll check with them and circle back. New York has an event planned for September 13th. They're going to send the details over to me today or tomorrow. Vancouver, BC is now an active live chapter. We just have to kind of tie up a few things to get them updated on the website and fully on board. We need to do a press release and get that announcement out. They were a young travel professionals chapter before, so now they're sort of just officially rebranding as a millennials in travel chapter. So they're kind of already set up and ready to go. And they're going to look at having, once the announcement's done, once they've updated all of their members, they're going to look to do an event in the fall, so September or October. And
Yay, that's so exciting.
I know, it is really exciting. Kemi Wells is kind of leading things, and she's phenomenal. So we're excited there. Our first international chapter, which brings me to a good topic. And this was some of the feedback from Kemi, is that everything that we do is very US centric and focused. Any benefits, any offers, any news, anything, we say our FAMs that are international. Well, if it's in the US or if they're Canadian, it's not domestic FAM anymore, right? If it's in the US. So we have to kind of reprogram our brains now. If we're going to be an international organization, we have an international chapter. Yeah, it's Canada, but it's international. So we have to keep that in mind and kind of make sure that, particularly in our communications and things, that content keeps that in mind as well. So that's exciting on our chapters.
Hey, just as an FYI, we also need to follow different communication laws.
Right.
So we might need to add in like a double opt-in, because I think Canada requires a double opt-in to receive communication. So I will look into that.
Okay, thank you. So that's our active chapters. When it comes to chapter launches and relaunches, we all, of course, have a long list of chapters we want to launch, but when they approach us and we have conversations, if there's some that are already like, half the work is done and they're like set up and ready to go, we move them to the top of the list. So we're actually going to plan to launch next month our Charleston, South Carolina FAM, which will be very exciting.
Not FAM, chapter, not FAM.
Sorry, chapter. I said FAM because I think the whole thing was initiated from the Charleston FAM.
Yay, we win.
Yeah, so yay, Belmont and Kim. I know you were having conversations with Jamie. So that kind of propelled the whole thing, was the FAM. So
Is it going to be Charleston, or is it going to be a larger, like when we did Anchorage, it was like Alaska? What's the plan?
So in talking with Jamie, I think Charleston makes sense. So we've had multiple people approach us from North Carolina and South Carolina. And for me, I was struggling with, well, where do we launch? Should it be Charlotte? Should it be Charleston? Should it be Raleigh? Where should it be? And in conversations I've had with Jamie, who's heading up the Charleston, is, Charleston is a destination itself. People from South Carolina and North Carolina will travel to Charleston. They will go for an event and stay overnight. They want to go experience the hotels. It's a destination unto itself. She also already has about 30 members, and I have a second leader that is based in Charlotte that will gladly drive to Charleston for every event. And she has the support of the tourism board. And so I think just keeping that in mind, I think most of the interest actually has been coming from Charleston if I looked more closely at it. And it just seems that it's set up better for it.
And interestingly enough, the hospitality university that's there, the college that's there, we actually, Belmont actually gets a ton of staff from the college there.
Okay.
So it would be really great, Derek, if, that's something that we can talk to them about. Because, my company alone utilizes them quite a bit. It may be some way we can, introduce you, and you guys can talk and get some surveys really directly from college students at this point.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah.
And then there's tons of Belmont people in Charleston, so I'm sure they will all be members, which is very exciting.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So that'll be kind of my focus for, July I'll get Vancouver buttoned up, and then Charleston for August. And then I think next will probably be, relaunching our Dallas and our Miami chapters. And Boston to round out the year. So those are kind of the 4 that I have my eyes on, just based on where we see demand, where, people are eager and ready. And we're like, we already have a group of people that are getting together on a monthly basis. We just want to make it as an official MIT chapters. So
hey, Mon, can we, for these chapter launch events, we used to do like a big hoopla, like press release for each one, red carpet, give away a trip, all that stuff. What if we turned it and made it a little more internally beneficial, in which say that the launch of the Charleston event, and maybe Elizabeth, this is where you can come in, but we kind of invite everybody in the organization to come to the launch event and turn it into a long weekend where it's not like free, obviously, but it's like a
Mhm.
discounted rate. So like when we launch in Boston, like if somebody wants to go to that chapter launch, like, we find a hotel that's willing to give us 50% off. And
Right.
we can throw different like things at them, like, obviously awareness, promotion. Maybe we go back to doing a press release for each one. I think the travel industry is probably looking for some positive news. And
We're
I
gonna
think
turn our
this,
launch, our regional, like our chapter launch events into like a global event and invite all of
Mhm.
membership. And then that's something that Erica, our new national manager of events, can help coordinate with each chapter.
Mhm. Yeah, if we can make it, financially feasible. I'm not saying we need to get airline tickets, but those would be nice, or discounts or something. Yeah, that could be pretty cool. And I think if we do this model, I think that would justify having a press release.
Yeah.
And again, the travel industry needing some positive news and like growth, and we can always throw in something that is newsworthy as well, like maybe it's a statistic that we've come up with in the last month or something like that to kind of like add value to the press release.
Okay.
It's basically putting a fan around the launch,
Yeah.
in a sense.
And an unpaid, like obviously not sponsored by the host,
Right.
but like if they can do trade rates or something like that. Yeah.
And also
Okay.
on top of that, it could make a bit of a domino effect that you can showcase what happened at one launch event for one chapter and say, oh, if you open your own, you can have this experience. And then it's just like exponential growth.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. I'll work on that.
Right on top of that, Rose.
All right, on top of that, Rose. And then last but not least, national events. So like I said, we've got a new national manager of events coming on board. I've already debriefed her on us doing events at in the 5 cities where we have the travel and adventure show. So that'll be Dallas, Boston, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Denver in September, October, and then Denver's in November. So those would be more like meetups in those cities. So this is all in Asana. So you can log into, well, actually, no, you wouldn't be able to because you're not part of that team, but I'll make sure, once we have just the basic information that it's added to the calendar. But Dallas, Boston, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Denver. And then we're also going to work on, and Caitlin, I got your email about Travel Week, doing a kind of a casual meetup during Virtuoso Travel Week in August in Vegas next month. And then also one before or after USTOA in San Diego in December. I will be attending that conference as well. So I'll help her with
Me
that.
too. I signed up
cool.
today.
Okay, great, perfect. And I've already talked to the San Diego team about it as well. So they're going to try to do something on the December 6th or early in the day on December 7th before everything kicks off. And then we also have LE Miami in November. The problem with that one is that I think it's like a Tuesday to a Friday. So you have to either do something like on the Monday or, yeah, it's a little tricky. But we're going to look at that. And then also Pure is Proud is in November in New York. So, but that's another tricky one because it's like it's like a Tuesday through Thursday. So you have to do the event on a Monday or a Friday. So we'll see if that works. But.
I mean, for those that have obviously been to those brands, like I think Monday is the way to go. And especially if you're coming from the East Coast or the West Coast, you're going to end up flying the whole day before anyways, and you really want something to do.
I'm not that focused on them, LE Miami or Proud, because to be honest, those events are like millennials and travel events as it is. Like everybody that attends tends to kind of, be younger or younger minded. And so
do you know Rebecca Barr?
Mm-mm.
So she's with, I WhatsApp with her all the time. She's with Serge and that whole team, but she works for them. So I can not that we can do something formal, but I think she's super cool. And she's actually approached us before on behalf of Serge to try to find some buyers. So I think we'll talk about that.
I'm more concerned about having meetups during those travel and adventure shows or even Travel Week where there's hundreds and thousands of people, and it's we're creating this opportunity for people that are millennials to get together among that huge audience, where something like LE and Proud are already smaller and they're already kind of hip and cool and young and fun. So you don't really need that outlet as much. But that's what I have on the list for national events. And then obviously I'll have her help oversee any virtual events as well.
One thing we do need to talk about just briefly is, are we charging for those events, or are those like part of the, if you're a member,
Mhm.
and incentivizing people to become a member?
I
So
think it should be, yeah, I think that's what I was thinking. It's like, if you're a member, you can attend. I know.
and if
we
not, then
need to
it's
figure that out.
like, it's a free event for members, or if you're a non-member, then it's,
Mhm.
but then we have to add more code. So like, we'll figure that out.
Okay. That's it.